Alright, welcome to this week's BLT on Rye. You are here with your hosts, BL and T.
I'm B.
I'm Al.
Are we not doing a 4? Are we not saying what they stand for anymore? Have we lost all integrity on this podcast?
Look, I'm about it, but I'm not the first person, so I don't...
I'm B for Batman.
I'm L for Lex Luthor.
I'm T for Tony the Tiger.
You already did Tony the Tiger.
No,
We've done it, I think, twice.
Okay,
Yeah.
redo. Say him again.
Okay.
I'm B for Batman.
I'm L for Lex Luthor.
And I'm T for Tintin?
Tintin?
Okay. I mean, yeah, he was in comics. Right?
That's
never
That's like
seen
the
Tintin.
Swedish one. The Adventures of Tintin.
I know that they were supposed to make like a bunch of Tintin movies, and then they made one Tintin movie.
And it didn't do so well.
Yeah.
That's probably why they only made one Tintin movie. So, well, we watched some stuff and listened to some stuff, and we're going to talk about it, but before that, anything anyone want to talk about? I'm talking about tap water.
Oh, we were
Before the
New
show
York tap
started.
water.
Yeah.
No, I hear it
Riveting
makes the
stuff.
pizza taste better. And the bagels.
I got in an argument the other day because, and by the other day I mean 2 days ago, because I was like hungry, and I went and got groceries, but it was that like hunger where I know I have food, but there was nothing that I had that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just order something. You know, I checked Uber Eats. And I was like, okay, well, Little Caesars, has Little Caesars been canceled? My friend was like, no, but why the fuck would you get Little Caesars when you live in New York?
Yeah.
I like stuffed crust. That's like my only thing. I just want stuffed crust pizza. I want as much cheese in my body at one point, like at any given time, as I can possibly manage.
That's the Wisconsinite in ya.
I'm from Wyoming.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, that's what my driver's license says.
Oh. I was going to ask why you didn't update your driver's license to New York, but I guess you don't need to drive in New York.
Well, I mean,
But
I
wait.
can still drive with it.
Yeah, but, like, don't you need to renew it after, like, a couple of years?
Mine doesn't expire until... Let me pull it out.
3 years ago.
2022.
Whoops. Wow. You're in Wisconsin that long ago. Or Wyoming. That was a genuine slip of the tongue.
That was another... So I'm assuming you both have Pennsylvania IDs?
Yes.
I never, like... People would comment about, like, my Wyoming ID and be like, oh, that's the first one that I've, like, ever seen. But it's never, like, stopped me from getting into a bar.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's not that they're like, oh, Wyoming, that's fake. It's like, oh, you're from Wyoming. I've never met a human being from Wyoming.
Well, bouncers check out-of-state IDs, like, more vigorously because they don't see them as often, and because more likely a fake's going to be an out-of-state one.
Yeah, that's never happened to me, though. Like, they just give it the
Because you don't
once
have a
over.
fake license.
But she did for a bit.
I did not.
You definitely had a fake.
I absolutely did not have a fake.
You sure?
I'm positive. You think I've got that kind of dough? It's like $100.
$100 for a fake license?
And that's like if you get like 15 other people to order with you.
Huh.
I was just a 19-year-old with a beard and got by fine.
I was just a female.
I just didn't drink until I was 21.
I also didn't drink until I was 21.
Yeah, same.
I'm being genuine. Like I think maybe 2 or 3 times we had someone that was old enough to buy alcohol when we were like 19 and 20, and it was like, oh, okay.
I'm also being genuine. I did not drink until I was 21.
Huh. Well, then why did it matter that you were a 19-year-old with a beard?
You just
never
always told me I could get service if I wanted it.
When I was still in Wyoming, we would always go to this bar on like the main street. And when I thought I was like gonna stay in Wyoming, my biggest fear was going in there on my 21st birthday and like telling them it's my
Handing them your
21st
actual
birthday, and the same bartender's just like looking at me.
Now this is the main street of Wyoming.
There's only one.
Yeah, there's only one street.
I think at that point they look at that 21-year-old ID and go, well, at least I'm in the clear now. Like, nothing bad happened beforehand, so that kind of sucked. But all right, my experience getting carded is very on and off. Like, if it was the liquor store back in Edinburgh, it's a college town, they card every single person no matter what. Like, restaurants, I'll usually get carded, but even like 21 or 22, going to beer distributors or the liquor stores around here, I don't think I've ever really been carded.
Yeah, I very rarely get carded, ever.
I bounce between like getting carded and not getting carded. I thought I outgrew like my baby face stage. Like, I looked super young for a hot minute. And then
including this one currently.
Of, like, 0 to 8, I looked pretty young.
No, and then I think I told you guys about, I was in Pittsburgh over like winter break for the holidays, and they have like the holiday bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought a pair of earrings that are like mini pocket knives. They were super cute. I was like, absolutely love these. Like, you can like fold them up, like. And the guy goes,
Your Talon of the Hawk ones?
What?
They look like the Talon of the Hawk album cover.
I don't know what that means.
That's the front bottoms album.
Anyway, the guy goes, be careful wearing these. Your principal might confiscate them. And I said, sir, I am in grad school. I don't have a principal. And he literally went, thought you were in high school. That's on me. Also be careful with the airport. TSA might not like them. And I was like, I want to die. I wanted to use the switchblade that I just bought to cut my own throat.
That's, whenever we went to New York in like 2008, we went to go to Ellis Island, and the security there confiscated my dad's pocket knife. And I was like, really? We're going like on a boat. Like, it's not like we're gonna wreck this into something if we hijack this passenger boat. Like, what? But I imagine TSA would go after your earrings,
Nah, I didn't have any issues.
Oh.
The one time I was at Ellis Island, they did allow me to keep my knife, but it was like 1924. And like, I was like, hey, I'm going to be a farmer, like, once you send me to where I'm going.
Hold on, 1924?
Yeah.
Did they still put people through Ellis Island in 1924?
Look, I didn't research that joke before I started it. I just picked a way back time.
And 24 was as way back as you could go.
That's definitely when I think about, like... Here was my thought. We're going to walk through my entire thought process. When do I think the flashbacks in The Godfather took place? And I landed on 1924. Because I know he comes through Ellis Island.
Funny enough, let's see. In the 19th century, Ellis Island was the site of Fort Gibson that later became a naval magazine. The first inspection station opened in 1892 and was destroyed by a fire in 97. The second station opened in 1900. After 1924, Ellis Island was primarily used as a detention center. So you may have got it. You were one of the last ones. They let Benny through, and then they closed the gates. They watched him walk into New...
Oh, I gotta get over there. I hear they're closing down.
They watched him walk away and went, we should probably detain people here.
He'll be back.
They always come back.
Now, Tori, as a New York resident, I assume that you visit the Statue of Liberty every day?
That's That's kind of like their mecca. They have to pray to it once a day, I believe.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, like, my school is down by the Statue of Liberty, so we used to just go eat lunch in the park down there, and you can just watch the tour boat, like, head on to the statue, and you can see the statue from the land.
Did you know that technically the island it sits on is New Jersey, but the statue itself is New York?
Did I ever tell you the most New York thing I've heard?
Was it, hey, I'm walking here?
Yes, that was it right now, Benny. Thank you.
What's the most New York thing you've ever heard?
I was sitting with some friends in Riverside Park, and we were watching the sunset. And my friend Jacob, who's, like, born and raised in New York, goes, "This is the only time I'm jealous of New Jersey. Because currently, they get to look at us, and we have to look at them." Which is just so New York.
There's a certain level of pretension that comes from New Yorkers shitting on New Jersey people. Like, everyone likes to shit on New Jersey, don't get me wrong. I'll do it, and I've never laid eyes on New Jersey. But there's just a certain element of it that comes from New York City where it's just, like, so above and beyond. It's magical, even.
It's beautiful.
Alright, so, what did we do this week?
I chose the SB Nation series Beef History, specifically the episode about Lance Armstrong and Greg LeMond.
I chose The Princess and the Frog Disney movie.
And I chose the Woods of Ypres album, Woods for the Green album. So.
I went last week, so I'll go first this week. So, I guess I'll intro it. This is the first podcast, so I'm still adjusting to it.
Still learning. There's a learning curve here.
Yeah, I don't know. We did a couple pilots that I don't believe have been released. And
just 10 of them.
So SB Nation is a website. I believe it stands for Sports Blog Nation, because there's a couple. They run like any sports team you like. There's like an SB Nation blog for it. Like if you are a fan of like the University of Pittsburgh sports, you could go to Cardiac Hill, and that's their blog of like all Pitt sports. Or for my favorite team, the Clippers, they have one just called Clips Nation, and it's a blog of all their sports. But then they also have the main SB Nation website, which does all sports, and they do great videos. And they have a series of videos called Beef History that outlines the beef between two sports people. I don't know why I said that, how Tori would say it in sports people.
By two sportsmen. There are two sportsmen, and they're furious at each other.
That is the only, like, sports shirt I ever wore. I still have it. It's blue, and it says, "Hooray sports! Do the thing! Win the points!" That's the only thing I ever wore to, like, any Pittsburgh game.
So I chose this episode, one, because I love Beef History. It's a great series. You should check it out. And I had also just watched the Lance Armstrong documentary. So I was interested in finding more Lance Armstrong content. And I found this. It is about him and the only other guy to win the yellow jersey at the Tour de France, Greg LeMond.
Only American.
Only American, yes. I said guy, and that's not accurate. A lot of people have won it.
Yes. One a year, actually.
I believe that race has happened since 1903. And so Greg LeMond discovered that Lance Armstrong was cheating, as we all did years later, and was very vocal about it. However, this was when Lance Armstrong was the height of... he was at the height of his kind of heroicness. He was an inspiration to anyone who had cancer and was trying to fight through it and was seen as like a saint. And Greg LeMond tried to expose him as the cheater he was.
And for that, they did not like each other.
They did not.
So, I had no idea who Greg LeMond was. If you would have asked me, like, 5 days ago before I watched this, or whenever I watched this, how many Americans have won the Tour de France, I would have said 0 because Lance Armstrong got his title stripped. I did not know there was another guy. Just completely unaware. And I guess that might be because, cycling isn't super popular, and we know Lance Armstrong because of his whole saga. But at the end of this, they posed a question, which was, who won? Did Lance Armstrong win, or did Greg LeMond win? Lance Armstrong won. By a long shot. Because Greg LeMond got exiled from everything, and now is like a commentator on a cycling TV station.
Do you know who else is a commentator on ESPN Cycling?
Who?
Lance Armstrong.
Really? They just have him around still.
Yeah.
Woof. Poor Greg.
Yeah, and it's so, he's so heroic in this story about, just trying to expose the truth.
He always stayed on it. No matter what happened, he stuck to his guns. And I love how this all started because he made a comment that wasn't even that, inflammatory. Even back then, I would have thought that was a perfectly reasonable comment, which was, I believe it was, if he's clean, he's the greatest racer in history or something.
Yeah.
Which is
he's not, he's the biggest fraud.
I don't even know if he said that, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay. Which is yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to say. Just oh, yeah, if he's clean, he's the best. If not, this is a huge issue. Yeah, that's fair.
It's certainly somebody who isn't. It's something that somebody who isn't clean would take offense to.
Yeah. And clearly he did. Oh, man.
Tori, as a non-sports person, what were your thoughts?
I have two things. One, why do I keep, in my head, just mixing up Lance Armstrong and, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't know. They are not
particularly related in any way I can think.
Yeah.
They are both athletes.
Yeah.
I read this and I went, oh, yeah, the guy who played the Terminator and the governor of California. I was incorrect.
You read this.
You mean read the title?
Yeah, I read the name.
Oh.
I was like, yes, Lance Armstrong. I know this name. And then also, did y'all have Livestrong bracelets?
No, I thought they were kind of goofy.
I probably did.
Was that the first? No, I think it was WWJD, and then Livestrong, and then breast cancer awareness.
And those Livestrong bracelets raised so much for people dealing with cancer.
Yeah, they truly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Lance Armstrong did do a lot of good. He put some good karma out into the world there.
But also was a horrible cheater.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen that tweet that's I think we should do an Olympics where everybody just gets to use performance enhancing drugs. Let's just see what the human body can do.
I have seen that. And I feel like that'd be fun, but also probably very horrific and inhumane.
I'm gonna posit the theory. I think we've seen that. I don't really think...
Yes, we have that. It's the Olympics. We have it every 4 years. They're just getting very good at slipping the...
Because I think if every time a person used steroids at the Olympics, it came out, we would just end the Olympics.
I mean, don't they have to have blood tests now? Isn't that a caveat of performing in the Olympics.
Sure, but like Lance Armstrong was tested like every year and won. Like it's just they've like the scientists figure out a test, and then the athletes pay them to then figure out a like steroid that beats the test, and then the doping agency pays them to test for it, and then it's just a cycle.
Yeah, and like there's state sponsored, doping.
Yeah, like
countries
Russia.
that are just they got kicked out of the Olympics because everyone was doping. And even when they caught them and said, like, stop it or there's going to be problems, then, like, the next test, a bunch of people still got caught, and they're like, all right, you're out.
And it's also, sometimes I don't think the athletes even know that what they're taking is illegal. Like, I think a doctor's just like, no, this is good for you, take it.
Or a coach being like, this is natural stuff, it's fine. It's not...
Here are some vitamins.
Some vitamin... HGH. It's important. It's in apples.
A fun part of the Lance Armstrong document, I guess this isn't fun, but I laughed at it hysterically, is he's talking about his cancer diagnosis, and he says the only time he took HGH was the year before he got diagnosed with cancer. And he says, like, and it grows the good stuff, but could it also grow bad things?
Benny, you asked what... Oh, sorry.
What was that?
You asked what I thought about this as a non-sports person, completely forgetting the fact that I love tea.
You love what?
Tea.
Oh.
Which is a coin turn from black drag culture. Just putting that out there.
Which is, like... drama-ish?
Yeah, it's like the gossip.
Okay. Yes.
Like any sort of...
Does it stand for truth, or is it like sitting around having tea and talking shit?
Yeah, it's like shade, or like spill the tea is like spill the drama, spill the gossip.
I've heard that before, I guess. I always thought it was in relation to that Kermit meme where he's drinking tea.
No.
Yeah, what's the etymology of this phrase, Tori?
I actually have the answer to that. Hang on, I have it in
By
a
Googling
slide.
it very quickly while you draw out your words?
No, I have a slideshow.
I'm not watching a slideshow.
I'm not asking you to watch the slideshow. I'm just telling you that I have a slideshow and I have the answer in the slideshow. I just have to find the slideshow.
Well, while you're doing that, I will tell you some other great episodes of Beef History. There is,
I believe you're about to recommend the Magic Johnson.
I wish they had one for Magic Johnson and Larry Bird because their rivalry was great. There's one about Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook where Patrick Beverley broke Russell Westbrook's ankle. And there's one about Mike Piazza and Pedro Martinez, where Mike Piazza had to go play in the Dominican Republic in order to be drafted into the MLB. And all the Dominican players, I think, did not like him. And it continued onto...
into the MLB?
Yeah. They're all great. They don't often do, they kind of stick to the major American sports, but they'll occasionally dip into like cycling. I think they have another one about track. Yeah. I wanted to somehow do an SB Nation video because I love them, and there's a guy who makes videos for them named John Boyce, but his videos are very in-depth and too long, but I will recommend there's one called The Complete History of Bobs, I think. And it's 2 hours long. And he goes through a graph of every athlete named Bob. And he just tells stories about some of them. And it made me cry.
What? Just some of the Bob's stories were so moving that
Yeah, I mean, he's like highlights. You know, there was a guy, I forget his name, but his...
Was it Bob the Builder?
No, he broke the long jump record. And it was like in the 60s. And he was black and he dealt with like a lot of racism. And I guess he had taken to writing poems about like how he felt. And he like shows the jump kind of visually, starting at like 1 on a ruler and going all the way to where he landed, which like shattered the record. And as he does, like reads one of his poems. It was very beautiful.
Lovely. Okay, I have the slide.
Oh, go ahead.
Like shade before it, tea originated in drag culture, and specifically black drag culture. When it was first popularized in general print, it could be spelled like the letter T or TEA, and it didn't refer to the drink. An early print use of tea comes from John Berendt's nonfiction bestseller Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. He interviews the Lady Chablis, a prominent drag performer in Savannah, about her dating life, and she notes that she avoids certain men because they're prone to violence when they find out her tea, quote unquote. So
that's... We still don't have the etymology of it, but we've got the source. Although we have the direct person we can attribute the first printing to.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's getting it from... It must have been a phrase in that...
Right. It was in the culture already, but...
We can...
This is...
I don't know why this reminded me of that, but something I read about today that I'd never seen before is digital blackface. And every white sports writer is very guilty of it.
What is digital blackface?
It's like talking, I guess, like on Twitter, like, I'm trying to think of how to say it, like talking, sort of like adapting black phrases and like stuff like that, and kind of speaking in the manner of, but like,
interesting.
When you watch them on ESPN or whatever, they talk
a certain way, and then they try and adapt it to...
Yeah. And then when you look at their Twitter, it's just all like... And it's also, I guess, using primarily GIFs of black people reacting to things. Yeah, I'm not the person to explain this. I am not nearly as read up on it as other people. But I read about it today, and it really hit home for me when I thought about...
Like, oh, I see this all the time.
There's a guy by the name of Ryan Russillo who writes for The Ringer. And I don't know who his avatar is of, but it is not him. It's like a young black guy, and he's a white guy in his 30s. And because of the way he tweets and because of that avatar... For years, I thought that that must be him, and, like, this is his... And I saw him for the first time, and was like, this is not okay.
Interesting.
Any closing thoughts on Greg LeMond and Lance Armstrong? I should say they both have 30 for 30s about them. Lance Armstrong is just called Lance, and it's 2 parts. It's about all of his doping and the kind of scandal behind him. And Greg LeMond has one that's very nice. It's only an hour long, so it's perfect. Called Slaying the Badger. And it's about him trying to become the first American to win, and how people did not really want an American to win.
I might check that out, the Greg LeMond one. Like, at this point, I don't have the energy to care about Lance Armstrong. I think this was like a good, concise, and very funny at several points. What was the one thing? Every time that anyone compared like a debilitating disease to, or something incredibly painful to, like the hill courses at on the Tour de France, it's like, this does not make cycling sound very appealing. This is very good.
What also learned during my watching of these documentaries was, I guess, like, if you do certain things at the Tour de France, they give you a certain jersey to wear. Like, if you're in the lead, you wear yellow. And, like, if you're in the lead of if the person in the lead who's under 25, you know what I mean? Like, from, like, 18 to 25, they wear white. And for the hardest thing you can do, which is, like, win the mountain stages, like, the most grueling part of it, if you win that, you get to wear a polka dot jersey.
That's fun.
I
also know that if the tour goes through one of the cyclists' hometowns, everyone else will just let them lead for that portion. Just like wherever they are, everyone will slow down, let that person get to the front, let them go through the town, and then they got to go back to where they were.
It seems to be very built on, like, respect.
Yeah. Which is nice, except for all of the drugs that happen.
Yeah, except for the fact that they 1 to 100 were cheating.
Yeah.
That if you even wanted to have any sort of career, you had to sell your soul and cheat.
All right, well. SB Nation, Beef History, Lance Armstrong, Greg LeMond. Good stuff. I guess I'll go next, because I feel like thinking about it, we haven't closed with Tori in a minute, so unless you want to go, Tori.
No, truly nothing matters.
Okay, so we listened to the third full-length album, Woods 4, the Green Album, by Canadian doom metal band Woods of Ypres. And their music is very sad and stuff. And it's fronted, and most of it depends on what album you're talking about, but the lead singer and, like, drummer and guitars, a lot of the times, Dave Gold, is kind of like the creative force. I think he's also the writer on everything. Yeah, like for some albums he was vocal, guitar, and drums. For this album he was just vocals and guitar and writer.
Are there two vocalists?
No.
There's only two different styles of singing on display.
Yes, that is both Dave Gold and This happens a lot with metal albums. They'll record them separate and, like, layer them, because it's hard to do two voices at the same time. But all of their music is just very kind of sad. It's doom metal. That's a little bit the point. This album was released in 2009. In 2012, they recorded their fourth full-length album. But I guess they consider them all full-length albums because it's called Woods 5. So their fifth album, Woods 5, Gray Skies and Electric Lights. Recorded it, had it being mixed and stuff. And before it was released, David Gold died in a car crash.
Oh.
Like they had enough time to go into the liner notes and dedicate the album to him, who wrote it and sang it and played guitar on it, and then died. So that's Woods of Ypres. Album was a little long. I forgot it was so long. But what are your guys' thoughts?
I did it in like 2 sessions, kind of, today. And they were broken up by, like, the first half ended at, what's it called, Wet Leather, I think is the name of the song.
Yeah.
And then I did the second half. And the second
You
half
didn't
felt
stop it at halves and quarters?
No. I did not. The second half felt more metal to me. It definitely felt like it got heavier on this. Maybe it was just because I was listening on something different, like better speakers.
Let's see. Suicide Cargo Load would be the start of that, and then Halves and Quarters is heavy. You Were Here With Me is like a minute and a half of, like, real dreamy light. Same with Retro Sleep in the Morning Calm. But then the rest of them are, pretty heavy.
Like, Natural Technologies, I feel like that, like, actually had, like, a part where they were shredding.
That, yeah, probably. What is... I'm trying to think what... Which one is... Oh, yeah, okay. Did you pick up what that song was about?
No.
I could not understand a word.
If... I am fairly confident that song is... well, I guess I interpreted it a little bit singularly, but like either jerking off or having sex. It's, you know, no day is complete without the enjoyments of the flesh.
And you're telling me there's a difference between those two ideas?
Yeah, no, I guess not. I just thought that was funny. Like, it sounds very angry and aggressive, and I'm like, this is definitely about how you should jerk it.
Well, you really need to encourage people to do that. It's not something they like to do, or it's like a real chore.
Mm. Well, part of it was, resistance of nature is a painful way to go. Do not deny yourself the pleasures of life. Just it's like, hey man, it's cool.
I would love if we could get Jesus in on this call right now.
Jeezy boy, you here? No, we got nothing.
Yeah, God has abandoned me again.
Yeah, why do you want Jesus here to talk about
Because you're all
this?
sinners!
Yeah, the second half of this album was definitely a lot heavier now that I look at the track list, because there was, Shards of Love and Dirty Window of Opportunity, I'm Pining for You, and Mount Pleasant Cemetery is one of their more well-known songs. And that was all
I was
on the
going to
first.
say, I'd bet that would be the single. Like, that was really good. It was like, I think probably the best song on the album.
I
don't know if they actually had any singles to it, but...
I also liked Shards of Love.
Mm.
I liked the opening one. I was into it.
Yeah. It's very sad. I think this whole album is kind of like a, I don't want to say a breakup album, but like him trying to cope with a breakup album.
I was listening to this album and I was like, this isn't the like I can't really imagine going to like a concert of this album and there being like a mosh pit or like some super heavy, like I could like headbanging, like yeah, because like the beats or whatever, but it just did not feel like it wasn't like rage, we're so mad, everything is going. It was more like we're just fucking rocking.
And we're sad.
Yeah, it was a very sad boy hour.
Mm-hmm.
Tori, do you always picture there being a mosh pit at Luke's? Like,
I imagine Luke is a mosh pit. Contained within a few layers of clothing.
Do you imagine people moshing to short fictions?
No. Why would they do that?
Do you know how you dance at an emo concert?
You don't.
You cross your arms.
Exactly. You are, once per show, you are allowed to put one hand in the air.
If you're really feeling it,
and
you just
bob your
like
head.
At emo shows, once they end a song, does anyone go woo and put like the metal horns up?
No,
absolutely not.
I feel like you kind of give like a polite little applause, and then you return to your arms crossed.
The true masters don't even need to uncross their arms. The true fans.
That happens a lot for openers. Like, people are like not sure if they're into it. And then, like, by the sixth song, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of into it. And then the opener set is over. Because they're the opener. Yeah, back to, I definitely think this is a breakup album. It starts with a song about someone, like, two people in a relationship, and one of them's leaving, and the other one's like, no, wait, stay, please. And it's like, no, it's over, I have to leave. And then everything I touch turns to gold and then coal. It's like everything I touch dies. What was the I think it's Retro Sleep in the Morning Calm. The song is like, oh, I prefer to sleep alone. I toss and turn all night, so I don't want to disturb my partner. I'd feel bad. And that just seemed like a very sad rationalization of like, yeah, I sleep alone because, oh man, I just toss and turn and I'd probably bother someone. So it's just better that I'm here alone. Although sometimes some of it is uplifting in a way. I really like Dirty Window of Opportunity is very like you are going to get over this. You must. There is no choice.
A weird thought I had while listening to this album was, and this might be a very stupid thought, how much of how you classify a music genre comes from the guitar tone? Because if there hadn't been like a real distorted heavy guitar, you could have just told me this was like alternative music.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, and especially in metal where there's like so many subgenres, people have different interpretations of things. Like if you look at the genre on Wikipedia for this album, there's doom metal, melodic black metal, and neo-folk. And like, yeah, all of those could fit, I would think. Woods of Ypres themselves are classified as either doom, black and doom, melodic black metal, gothic metal, or neo-folk. I think it's just a very open to interpretation thing, you know.
Is this your favorite breakup album?
Aly and AJ's potential breakup song.
Aly and AJ, like the Disney?
Yes. It took too long, it took too long, it took too long, it took too long for you to call back. Normally I would just forget that. Except for the fact it was my birthday, my stupid birthday.
I don't know, I don't think I have any albums where I'm like, this is definitely a breakup album, save for this one. So yeah, probably. If you go listen to their next album, it's, like all their previous albums, there's a lot about, like, death and the afterlife. The big song from the next album, is a story about a guy who gets hit by lightning and goes to the afterlife, and it's just a empty, desolate plain, and there's nothing. It's just like a barren plain that's snowing. And then he comes back to life and lives an empty, hollow existence because he knows there's nothing after this. And then the lead singer dies before the album comes out. Like, just a whole bunch of sad shit about life and death for a whole album, and then he's dead. And it's like, oh, this is brutal.
Is the album cursed?
Cursed? Yes.
Wait, the next one, right? Not this one?
All of them.
That reminds me, have you guys heard the story about that Jack's Mannequin album?
No, I've heard the name.
No.
There's a Jack's Mannequin album called Everything in Transit. And on it, I don't know the dude's name, so I'm just going to refer to him as Jack. Makes several references to feeling sick and being sick. I believe the first line of the album is, she thinks I'm much too thin. She asked me if I'm sick. But at the time, like, he didn't feel sick at all. He was just like, he thought he was a healthy person. He was just writing these songs. But in order to go on tour, he had to have like a physical done. And as he was having the physical done, he got diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
So everyone thought that the album was about him being diagnosed, even though it was written like months
before
after.
that.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this, I think this album and the next album and their previous album are both similar in that there's like some heavy stuff and some light stuff. You might want to like pick through it to find what you're looking for. But this is one of my favorite Sad Boy Hour albums. They also did a music video for I Was Buried in Mount Pleasant Cemetery, which I think is just him walking around a cemetery, which feels right. And then playing in a cemetery, I'm sure.
I liked how sparse the lyrics were. They were kind of like key phrases over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too... that happens a lot with like black metal stuff, where it's like you get out about 3 sentences in 6 seconds, and you can make out hardly any of it, and it's just like overblown and hard to understand. So this is refreshing. I think that also might be a doom metal thing, like a lot of repetition, slow, drony, chugging sort of stuff, and you can't get too verbose over that or it sounds funny. Tori, any last thoughts? Anything you want to...
Did you talk about where their name came from?
Where what?
Where the name Woods of Ypres came from? Ypres?
I believe it's actually a thing of woods,
I was just curious.
near... in Canada, where they live, I thought. I will check real quick, but I think it is a set of woods near Windsor, Ontario, where they're from.
How very.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, huh. I googled it, and I went. There's a forum post on the Ultimate Metal website from 2006 that says, "What is the origin of the Woods of Ypres name?" And user David Gold responded, "The name originally comes from the song title The Woods of Ypres, written and recorded by a Windsor, Ontario experimental hard metal or hardcore band. The song was written about Ypres Park, as people commonly referred to it. I believe it was actually called Optimist Park on Ypres Road in Windsor, Ontario. And the name is Woods. The Woods part is reflecting black metal and the black metal themes of trees and natural things. And Ypres is representative of our Canadian heritage in reference to Canada history and where they were from. Overall, Woods of Ypres means black metal from Canada." That's Dave Gold, the guy from this band.
I'm just interested. It's an interesting name.
It's weird. It's forum posts from a dead guy. Well, he made them when he was alive.
Alright.
Oh, no. This one he made after that. Okay. Ghosts.
My friend Caden was talking to me the other day on the phone, and we were talking about how much I hate ghosts, and I don't fuck with ghosts, and I don't fuck with demons, and he was like, "That's really funny, because when I was staying in your apartment, it's definitely haunted." And I was literally like, "How about shut up?" And he's like, no, I thought you were just used to, the electricity fluttering and, the cold spots. So I am ready to die.
I love the, I got this new apartment, and I've got new roommates who say that our apartment is haunted. And it's crazy, because I've been living here for over 200 years, and I've never seen anything. Because I'm the ghost.
Yes, you are the ghost, Luke.
Ooh. Cool. Well, anyway, Woods 4, Woods of Ypres, Green Album. Tori.
Oh, it's funny. Green Album, and they're named after trees. Okay. I made you guys watch the Disney movie, The Princess and the Frog.
It's in the news today.
Was it?
Is in the news today?
Yeah, they're redoing all of Splash Mountain to be Princess and the Frog. They announced that today.
Very nice. So this was released in 2009. God, who's Anika Noni Rose, Bruno Campos, Keith David, Oprah Winfrey, Peter Bartlett, John Goodman.
As somebody who went to film school, I'm going to ask that you credit the director as well.
Ron Clements and John Musker.
Thank you. They worked hard on this.
I heard John Goodman, like, very briefly.
Yes.
Who was Oprah Winfrey?
She was the mom.
Oh, okay. I had watched the first probably 15-20 minutes of this movie previously, and then I had fallen asleep, and I never got back around to watching it. So I picked it up from about the 15-minute point, and I don't believe she speaks after that point. So I definitely missed that on the second go round. Oh, I liked it. It was a fun Disney movie.
Yeah. I chose this one because I was watching it when Luke texted me and was like, "What's your choice?"
I like the music a lot more than most Disney movies. Like, I'm not a huge fan of, like, all the old Disney songs. Like, every time someone breaks into, you know, Be a Man or whatever other ones people sing, it's like, oh, okay, this is fun. I could do without this.
I was going to say, we've learned a lot about each other during this time as we share these picks with each other. And what I've learned most about Tori is she loves, like, a jazz parable.
Yeah, it's true.
She loves a moral story set to jazz music.
Tori, your thoughts on this?
Source?
This, and you also picked Hadestown.
Oh, I do love Hadestown.
It sounds like two jazz parables.
I also made you watch Sofia the First, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, so that's two princess things and two jazz parables.
I wish bringing up the time that you made us watch that with no context and didn't know that there was more context we could have had. And
it was like being dropped into Godfather Part 2 without seeing the first one. It was brutal.
And then when we brought it up, we were berated.
Yeah, we were told, like, what don't you get about this? There's a movie. We don't get that there was a movie.
Okay, I also don't understand how you didn't just, like, jump in, like, full, like feet
first.
It
was impossible to do.
There was not impossible. You quickly catch on.
The animals had, like, a background rivalry. Like, I don't know how this happened.
There was...
That's not... I don't think that's explained. I still have not found the movie.
Let's not focus on the darkest part of our friendship.
Which is Sofia the First. Which not only did Tori throw us into the deep end on that, she also kind of tricked us into a TikTok.
She also did trick us into a TikTok.
Because
and it was very nefarious.
Truly my
evil,
my crowning glory.
Now, I certainly love this because there's voodoo, and voodoo is fun and lovely and great, and I love that aesthetic.
Why did anyone try... I don't remember his name. I remember it began with Doctor.
Facilier.
Dr. Bones.
Why did they trust him? There was a skull and crossbow on his top hat. He was clearly, like... He did not have your best interest at heart. I think everyone should have looked at his top hat and said, well, there's certainly going to be... I'm going to ask you for something, and I'm not going to get what I want, really.
Yeah, and everyone called him the Shadow Man?
Yeah. But also, I think, Benny, we learn in the story, like, you don't get what you want. When you open your heart, you'll find you get what you need.
Certainly. And I love that they included...
Sunshine!
Literally the thing you learn in Screenwriting 101, which is you have to give the character both a want and a need. So that was a fun little Easter egg for me. And I thought they did a very good job of, like, really showing the dichotomy. I'm not making fun of it. I'm actually saying I think that was a very good thing that they did.
Of what dichotomy?
Of, like, there is the thing the character wants, and then there's the thing the character needs, and they have to be in opposition to each other.
I will say, my favorite character, probably Lewis.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, hands down.
Yeah. He's an alligator that plays trumpet. Like, it's sick.
When the one moment I did get, like, a genuine laugh was when he tries to play with the band, and he stops and gives them the look like, huh? Right?
And everyone jumps and then like 20 guns just out the side of the boat. That's pretty good. Also, is this the first time a Disney villain has ever, on screen, murdered someone for revenge?
I think.
Yeah,
No.
Because I was...
Scar.
yeah.
Well, that wasn't revenge. He was trying to take over Pride Rock.
That was revenge for not allow for years of, I guess, like... I'd call that revenge.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would also call it
If
revenge.
you would call that revenge, then yes, I don't think it's the first. Because there's definitely been several... I looked into this after, but there is just something about the way he went after Rey that was like, wow, that was dark for Disney.
It definitely
he
felt
straight up
darker
crushed
than
that
Disney
bug.
normally does.
Yeah.
No, but side note about the Lion King, have you guys read about the, like, Mufasa Scar thing? Where, like, Scar has a real name that's not Scar, but it literally translates to trash. So, their parents had Mufasa, King, and trash.
What does Mufasa translate to?
I think it's King.
Well,
I understand why he went by Scar.
yeah. There's also something to be said for, like, predeterministic sort of names. Like, have you ever seen Tom Cruise's kids?
I know one is Siri.
Or sorry, not Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. I know that there's Chet Hayes, the rapper.
Yes, there's Chet Hanks and Colin Hanks.
Oh, there's Colin, yeah.
And when you look at Colin and you look at Chet, and you go, oh, this is a Colin, and this is a Chet.
I often forget Colin Hanks is Tom Hanks' son because he's so successful on his own. Whereas I never forget Chet Hanks is Tom Hanks' son.
What was Chet Hanks in?
Chet Hanks? I don't know if he's been in anything. Colin Hanks has been in so much.
Or sorry, Colin Hanks, yeah.
He's in Mad Men. He played the priest in Mad Men. He's in... I want to say... I know he's in the movie Orange County, but I don't want to credit him as that.
He was, yes.
That feels like a big disservice to Colin Hanks. He directed a movie about, like, Amoeba Records, maybe? Or a different record company?
He did a Eagles of Death Metal documentary. Specifically after the Paris shootings. You guys listen to the Eagles of Death Metal?
No.
No.
They're not a death metal band.
That is kind of what has kept
Color
away
me
from them.
surprised.
I'll put some in the Discord. They're fun.
I also wanted to say that this is a very... I don't know if I should make this joke. Never mind.
Go for it. I believe in you.
This is a very important Disney movie because it's the first time that a princess has ever been a frog.
I was going to say, for the first, and I might be wrong about this, is this the first black princess?
It is.
Yes.
Spent a majority of the movie as a frog.
Yeah, that's one of the big critiques about it.
And I want to say that's where my joke was based.
Yeah, okay. And I get it. It's a movie about the frog prince and the frog princess takes on that in Louisiana. And it's good that they finally got a black princess, but come on.
Yeah.
Come.
I did think that was weird, which is why I started to craft that joke.
Look, I was going to say the first person of color princess, but I guess Mulan was 90s and... I'm trying to think of it. Well, Pocahontas. Jasmine. I don't have a good repertoire of Disney movies, I realize now.
Well, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but I was kind of like a Disney kid. I really enjoyed those movies.
Oh my god.
Like, they were really important to me when I was a kid.
This is never not gonna crack me up every time
favorite bit.
Oh, it's my favorite. I love it. Shit, we gotta send this podcast to... Watch, this will be the one time, like, one of you posts on social media, like, new episode of the podcast. I'm sure you don't do that. I don't do that. But, if you did, like, hey, episode of the podcast, and then, like, cool, they reviewed The Princess and the Frog.
You just dropped the name!
What? Is she gonna watch this?
No, but on the off chance, we have to give ourselves some wiggle room so that if she said, we could say, like, no, we were never referring to you.
Okay.
I also
Here's our wiggle room.
But it's not here's your personality.
If you are watching this, the type of person who
she's
watches
watching this
Disney
podcast?
movies, or if you're listening, the type of person who watches Disney movies and feels like they're very important to them personally, this is the type of person we're making fun of, and we're pinning it on you. It's all you.
How did that make this better?
It wasn't. It was worse. I was specifically calling her out.
I would like to quit the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want this to be part of it. I want this cut.
It's all jokes.
Okay.
Alright, let's give him a clean edit point to cut from. Another thing I thought about this was that it's weird that John Goodman always plays somebody from New Orleans. I don't know about always, but this is definitely, like, not the first time I've seen him do it.
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
In Treme, he's a New Orleans man. Have you guys seen Treme?
No, I'm not.
It's David Simon's series he did after The Wire, focusing on the neighborhood of Treme.
Oh,
New Orleans,
I am aware of that.
Katrina. Tori, you'd love it. It's a jazz parable.
Here are the two things that I've seen John Goodman in. 1, Community. 2, the movie where he kidnaps a girl and, like, puts somebody in
Keeps her in the basement?
It's like a fallout shelter.
Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I don't believe that that's all you've seen John Goodman in.
He did play a Louisiana man in Monsters, Inc.
You're right. You right.
Tori, you're telling me you've never seen an episode of Roseanne?
Maybe when I was, like, a really young kid. I feel like it probably came on when I was homesick from school, but I don't remember.
You've never seen The Flintstones?
The live-action one.
Yeah, the live-action one.
I don't think so.
The Big Lebowski.
The Big
Nope.
Lebowski.
You haven't seen that? The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, okay, I'm talking about, like, seen him.
Right. Okay, I'm just going
You mean, like,
through...
the same context you saw him in this movie?
No. This is voice acting versus...
Emperor's New Groove is him voice acting.
Yeah, so that's voice acting, but I didn't, like, I didn't visually see him. I heard his voice. He's an incredible voice actor. Like, absolutely.
You've never seen the movie Argo?
No.
I believe we watched the movie Inside Llewyn Davis together.
I don't remember that.
You've never seen...
Monsters University.
Yeah.
Voice acting again.
Kong Skull Island. That was actually pretty
I have
good.
no idea what that is.
King Kong.
Nope.
Monsters at Work, the upcoming television series based on Monsters, Inc.
That's also going to be voice acting, I assume.
Yeah, whenever it comes out.
I feel like he's hard to avoid, was my point in all this. He's in all the Coen Brothers movies, or he's in most of the Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah.
Remind me, Have I told y'all that story?
You have told me that story, and I'm incredibly jealous of it.
What happened?
I'll tell you later.
Now we seem all secretive.
Not fit for air?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. You guys are going to find out that if you say it on the podcast, it makes it to air.
I really hope that whole thing that we just talked about doesn't make it to air.
I don't edit. I don't know how to do it.
I'm straight up trying to see if I've seen him in anything else. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was so weird. He plays a very good villain. I loved it.
Yeah.
That movie wasn't a Cloverfield movie till, like, they made the poster. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I think it was made with Cloverfield in mind, and I still think they're intending to make more, quote, Cloverfield movies.
Well, they were... Whoever produces Cloverfield tried to buy The Quiet Place and make that a Cloverfield movie.
Oh. Huh. So they're just doing a Super Mario 2. They're just picking up stuff and slapping Cloverfield on it. I thought Cloverfield Lane was intended from the start to be. No,
they shot all of it and then sold it, and then I guess maybe went back and reshot parts too.
Huh.
Okay, I definitely saw him on Sesame Street. He was only in one episode, but which aired in 1995.
But you saw that?
One of my favorite actors. There's not a thing that John Goodman is bad in.
Yeah. Why haven't I heard more stuff about Tremaine?
Tremaine?
Yeah.
I know there are some people who like it more than The Wire. I don't think it's as good, but it's certainly, like, it'll scratch that itch.
I got Bob to start watching The Wire, so I have people to talk about it with, and it's like...
The other two things he's done, I guess he's done a couple things, but there's Generation Kill, which is very, very good. It's just a limited series about Marines. And then there's, what was it called? It just ended this year. Oh, The Deuce, about, sex workers in various eras. I think the first one is the 70s, then 80s, then 90s.
I might have to check it out. It's fun talking to Bob about The Wire, because it was like, I got to watch him go through it, like, middle of season 1. It's like, oh, I love McNulty. And I'm like, I'm sure you do.
I still love McNulty.
Yeah, I do,
really
but,
been
like...
a character I see myself so much in.
Watching him collapse just feels bad. And I told Bob my favorite character was probably Presbalewski, and he was on, like, episode 3, and he was like, really? Presbalewski's your favorite character? I'm like, just wait.
That would be such an interest... I guess we don't need to get into it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, now would be a very interesting time to rewatch The Wire.
Yeah, that does feel very present.
Can I tell you guys a secret that I'm ashamed to admit?
Yes.
Sure.
The show that I've been watching the past couple weeks is Bosch.
Is that a detective thing?
It is. The main character is an LA police officer named Bosch. And it's stated in the show that he's been involved in 8 officer-involved shootings.
Oh. Well, is he like an anti-hero, or is it like a...
Oh, no, Bosch is the symbol of light and goodness and truth, justice in the American way. He's never wrong. He's basically a monk if monks shot people.
And what were the officer-involved shootings that were the truth, justice, in the American way?
Well...
They get into it?
The very first... Oh, yeah, no. Every time... They're very quick to point out that he has never made a wrong decision. That any time he has acted correctly. And that's not just in terms of police officering. It's in all facets of Bosch's life.
He's just always right.
Yeah, I mean, they, like... I guess I'm making a joke. There's a little more depth to it, but he's certainly, like, the protagonist. And there's no real... Like, you are at all times meant to believe Bosch is in the right. Even though there's a season in which Bosch knows a man has killed someone, but can't prove it in court. So he just kills that man.
Oh.
everyone on Bosch is just trying to turn in like a B performance, which makes it an A+. Like, nobody's really trying that hard, which is why I think I enjoy it so much. But it's very hard to watch in this current climate.
That sounds
weird about it.
That description of everyone's just trying to put in a B performance sounds to me like Burn Notice.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Burn Notice? I love that show. It's so goofy.
How bad do we think I should feel about my watching of Bosch?
I mean, it's
just personally, I just want you to feel bad in general.
As you know, I do.
But not bad enough.
For the crimes I've committed?
I want you to feel worse. And I want you to apologize for what you've done.
Who do you know who apologizes more than me?
Me.
That's true. But I think I'm a close second.
It's probably fair. Literally every time Tori responds to a text, it usually begins with sorry. It's not even like I'm like, guys, give me your audio. I need it now. You messed up. It's like, hey, whenever you get a chance, give me your audio. Sorry. It's like, you don't need to apologize, Tori.
I would say the levels we're at is Tori is every time we speak, and I apologize once a day.
I am trained to apologize for my existence. It is part of the issue of being feminine in our society. I could rant and rave, and I'm sorry.
Well, and we're trying to give you permission, even though you don't need it, but help alleviate the concern and the training of saying sorry.
Is that not what we're supposed to do? You tell us what we're supposed to do, and we'll do it.
You're in charge.
I'm also being serious.
I'm sorry, I don't know. Also, I think we should wrap this podcast up.
Oh, that's fair. Last thoughts about The Princess and the Frog.
I'd recommend it to kids.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like jazz numbers.
Yeah.
The Shadow Man murders a lightning bug in cold blood, and it's.
But in the end,
pretty aggressive. And he's in the sky.
I do real quick want to talk about just Jenny Slate quitting Big Mouth.
I tried to watch Big Mouth. I found no enjoyment in it.
And then the show that I wanted y'all to watch was Central Park, which is new on Apple TV, and Kristen Bell also just quit. They were both playing biracial characters, and both of them stepped down from these roles because they were like, they should be played by people of color because the characters are people of color. Which I just think is good. And actually, Central Park was called out early on because Kristen Bell is playing like a half-black little girl, and Kristen Bell is beautiful and white and blonde, and they were like, well, we just really like her for the part, and we think she's gonna do great. And so it's very much like you couldn't find anybody else you liked for the part that was black. But I digress. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Black Lives Matter. Keep donating. I went to a candlelight vigil last night. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh. I've been wanting to go out to at least one of they've been having a pretty consistent, I think every Saturday, sit-in downtown in protests. But all the coronaviruses are spiking, all the numbers everywhere, and I'm like...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog, Disney, Woods 4, Green Album, Wizard He Pray, SB Nation, Lance Armstrong, Le Mans.
They got beef. Follow me on social media, Too Much Tori.
Social media, I have none. Don't follow me.
I don't even know my name on social media, but as always, if you see any information about the challenge or Big Brother or The Bachelor, please send it to Tori, who can send it to my way.
Yeah, or blast it out into cyberspace with the hopes and dreams that it will eventually reach Benny's doorstep.
And I probably will. I constantly just, on Twitter, search The Challenge or Big Brother or...
Alright, well, that's a wrap. BLT on Rye. Have a good one.
Wait, we have to do our letters.
Oh.
The integrity of this podcast today.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm B for Batman.
L for Lex Luthor.
And I'm Tori for... Oh, shit.
Wow, the integrity of this podcast lately.
I'm T for totally disappointed in what's happening on this podcast today.
What's also fun is I called you out for using Tony the Tiger, and I've definitely used Batman before. Alright, goodbye, everybody!
Oh, wait, Benny, don't you say something?
Oh, no, I don't say anything at the end.